certainly has changed so much from 50 years ago. And I think if I could highlight a couple of changes, I think one is the amount in which the role of the state has been diminished by neoliberal policies, but at the same time, the amount in which the market has actually captured and dominated the state role. So in many places where we work as ActionAid, for instance, and we see examples of a shrinkage of space for citizenship, that sometimes is quite associated with interests of big companies that really want the state to be more repressive so that they can continue doing their business in a way that they will have less opposition from society. So that change are quite fundamental, and we've been discussing here these days in a very useful way. Also, how can we, as civil society, in my case, leading an NGO, can really be more effective in ensuring citizenship rights in this very changed context. If you look at inequality, you can see a very strong role of all the components, both state, society, and markets. In the case of inequality, we are seeing a pattern of economic development, which is a jobless development, and based on an unprecedented concentration of wealth, and more importantly of power on very few hands of both local elites, but even more acute way on the big corporations across the world. So the state has failed in a way to regulate that growth and to redistribute and to use state policy to redistribute. And I think in some cases where we found alternative ways of growth and we have more redistributive models of growth in development, it was actually a direct consequence of very strong society and civil society movements that were able to achieve through long mobilization and struggles distributive policies. So what we have seen over the years is that the natural trend of the deep association and the capture of the state by corporate interests only leads to inequality, unless you have a different balance of power in which civil society can be strong enough to reclaim the state and to change that relationship. We don't see anything different. Yeah, I believe that IDS has a fundamental role to help the sector, number one, to understand better the different ways in which each one of those components, state, society, and markets are evolving, but more importantly, to understand better the interrelation between them. So phenomena like capture of the state, how does that work? And more importantly, as a practitioner myself, how can we strategize to confront and to oppose those trends of concentration of power in the hands of few? So I think this role of, in one hand, provide academic analysis and understanding, but in the other hand, help on the development of strategies that can effectively confront the concentration of power, I think is the fundamental contribution that we can and we count on IDS help to the sector.